Look, this is a somewhat unsurprising development, but can you just explain to us what the impact of a maritime blockade on Saudi Arabia will mean now, given, as we've been talking about, the increase in the hostilities in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz as well?
Yeah, so at this stage, we should be reading this as a signal that Iran and the Houthis are trying to send, for slightly different reasons, to the international actors, particularly the US and Israel engaged in the war in Iran, but also to Saudi Arabia and to all international states who are concerned about international energy security. At this stage, the announcement is that they will attack Saudi-flagged vessels and Saudi vessels trying to transit through the el-Mandeb Strait. That's actually a step below the extreme escalatory measure, which would be to be attacking Yanbu port, which is a critical port facility, and other port facilities on Saudi Arabia's western shores that have been absolutely important alternative export terminals to get oil and gas out of the Arabian Peninsula region while the Strait of Hormuz is blocked. So the fact that the Houthis have not yet taken the step of attacking the port of Yanbu systematically, and that they haven't threatened to close all Red Sea shipping to all ships or all ships coming in and out of Yanbu, suggests that this is a signal rather than that this is a brand new front that is going to immediately impact the energy security of the region. It's, as the previous speaker said, this is a threat at this stage.
There's a couple of points in there that I want to pick up on, Jessie, but first of all, can I get you just to explain to us, I suppose, who the Houthis are? They're an Iranian proxy group, but just how does that work and exactly who are they?
Yeah, so the Houthis they're a tribal Shia militia group that has been based in the mountainous northern region of Yemen for a very long time. At various instances, they've been in conflict with the Yemeni central government or in alliance with them at different points throughout history. Since 2011, they've been engaged in a civil war in Yemen, and since 2015, they've been engaged and under bombardment from Saudi-led international coalition and a key actor in the civil conflict in Yemen. They also have a very close relationship with Iran, and that relationship has grown a lot closer in recent years, to the extent that what seems to have occurred now is that IRGC officials, Iranian actors, have been moving into Yemen in anticipation of building up this threat to the Red Sea, because this, for Iran, is also an attempt for them to demonstrate to the US what the full resumption of hostilities would look like, this new phase of the conflict.
So, as you said a little earlier, this maritime blockade against Saudi Arabia is, I guess, a step below sort of the most intense, threat that could be carried out, more of a signal, as you said, than, launching full-scale attacks on the Yanbu port. Why is it that the Houthis have gone with this route for now, and do you expect that it may well get more intense?
So one of the things that's been happening in the background has been that there has been a series of attacks on international airports, both in Sana'a and the Saudis firing on Sana'a airport. In part, that looks like it may have been related to an attempt by Iran to fly in additional IRGC officials into Sana'a, into Houthi-controlled territory. And the Houthis, in return, tried to fire on the Saudi Al-Abha airport. So there's been this tit-for-tat escalatory steps being taken just between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia in recent weeks. And again, this needs to be read within the broader context of the conflict between US, Israel, and Iran, and Saudi Arabia's role as this critical alternative energy supplier. Now, for the Houthis, for them to be taking these, measure doesn't really seem quite the right term, but a specific step, leaving additional escalatory measures in their bag that they can bring out once they decide if they're happy with how the Saudis respond. That's a very IRGC type playbook, and it looks like there is a great deal of influence from the Iranians on the Houthis. Officially, however, the Houthis have not claimed that this is a step by Iran and related to the broader conflict. So there's a little bit of distance between the Houthi-Saudi relationship and that conflict and the Yemen conflict and the broader war. And continuing that separation might be key to opening space for an agreement between the Saudis and the Houthis to potentially de-escalate this. It's one of the only de-escalatory measures that might be available.